Welcome to our channel. Have you ever had that strange, slightly supernatural experience where your monthly salary enters your bank account and then immediately vanishes like a ghost in a haunted house? You look at your banking app and think, I am sure I was rich for about 5 minutes on the first of the month, but now it is the 15th, and I am eating instant noodles for the third night in a row. It is a common mystery, a financial magic trick where your hard-earned cash turns into receipts and regret. Today, we are going to dive deep into why some people always seem to be struggling to keep their heads above water while others are building a massive financial fortress. And the secret is not about being a genius or inheriting a fortune from a long-lost relative. Let us introduce you to two guys, John and Leo. They entered the same company at the same time. They're around the same age. They have similar educational backgrounds, and they even share the same starting salary of about $40,000 per month. On paper, their lives should be a mirror image of each other, but their financial mindsets are on completely different planets. John is the guy who lives for the moment. He thinks that money is just paper meant to be exchanged for instant happiness. Every time his paycheck hits the account, it starts flowing out like a broken pipe. He buys the newest 3C gadgets on installment plans, eats at the trendiest restaurants to keep his social media feed looking luxurious, and takes overseas trips to reward himself for the exhausting work of spending all his money. John is a gold medal member of the Moonlight Clan, meaning by the end of the month, his balance is as empty as a stadium after a championship game. Then we have Leo. Leo made a tiny, almost boring decision that seemed insignificant at the time. He decided to take $6,000 every single month and put it into an S&P 500 index fund like VOO or SPY. He did not have any secret insider tips from a Wall Street broker or a crystal ball. He just decided to stay disciplined and invest that same amount every month without fail. At the beginning, people might have looked at Leo and thought he was being too frugal or missing out on the fun that John was having. While John was out there showing off his new phone, Leo was just quietly clicking a button on his investment app. Fast forward 10 years into the future, this is not a fairy tale or some motivational speech designed to make you feel good. It is cold, hard math that you can verify with a financial calculator. After 10 years of this habit, the wealth gap between John and Leo grows to over $1.15 million. Think about that number. That is not just a little bit of pocket change. That is a life-changing amount of money that could be a down payment on a house, a massive retirement fund, or the freedom to quit a job you hate. And the most shocking part is that Leo only actually put in $720,000 of his own money over those 10 years. Now, why did we choose the S&P 500 for this example? Historically, the U.S. stock market has shown incredible resilience and growth. While we have seen years with massive gains, we also have to be realistic. To keep our estimates conservative and grounded in reality, we use a 9% annualized return for our calculations. If you look at the first year of Leo's journey, it feels like a total waste of time. He puts in $72,000 over 12 months, and by the end of the year, his account is sitting at about $75,000. John would look at that $3,000 gain and laugh. He would say that all that sacrifice and missing out on fancy dinners was only worth $3,000, which is barely enough for a weekend getaway. This is the danger zone where most people give up. They want the fast cars and the luxury watches right now, and they do not have the patience for a slow-cooked financial plan. But compound interest is like a silent engine that starts slow but eventually reaches supersonic speeds. It does not show off in the first year or the second year. It waits until you are not looking to start exploding. By year 5, Leo has invested $360,000 of his own money, but his account is now worth nearly $450,000. Now the gap is starting to get real. Leo has nearly $500,000 in assets, while John has a bank account that is perpetually near zero and perhaps some credit card debt from all those gadgets he bought years ago that are now obsolete. 5 years is not enough to make you a millionaire, but it is enough to create a massive psychological and financial barrier between those who are prepared and those who are just winging it by the time we hit the 10-year mark. The total principal Leo has contributed is $720,000, but his account has grown to approximately $1.15 million. That extra $430,000 was not money he had to work for. He did not have to put in overtime or take on a second job for that money. It was the result of time and compound interest, working like a tireless employee while Leo was sleeping, eating, and living his life. His money literally grew by itself. This is the difference between working for money and having your money work for you. So the big question is, how do you find that $6,000 to invest if you feel like you are already struggling to pay the bills? Most people use a formula that is destined for failure. Income minus expenses equals savings. The problem is that our expenses have a magical way of expanding to fill whatever space we give them. If you wait until the end of the month to see what is left, the answer is almost always going to be nothing. The coffee shops, the streaming services, and the online sales will have already claimed every cent. If you want to build wealth, you have to flip the script and use the wealth building formula. Income minus savings equals expenses. This means that as soon as your salary hits your bank account, you pay your future self first. You take that $6,000 and move it into your investment account before you pay the landlord, before you buy groceries, and certainly before you buy that new pair of shoes you saw on Instagram. By treating your savings like a mandatory bill that must be paid, you force yourself to live on what is left. It turns saving into a natural, automatic habit rather than a monthly battle of willpower. If $6,000 still feels like an impossible mountain to climb, you need to conduct a financial audit and hunt down your Latte Factor. This concept refers to the small, seemingly insignificant daily expenses that add up to a massive leak in your financial boat. It could be that $60 specialty drink you buy every morning, which costs you $1,800 a month. It could be the delivery fees and tips you pay because you were too lazy to walk 5 minutes to get food. It could be the 5 different streaming services you pay for but only watch one of. If you actually track your spending for 3 months, you will likely be shocked to find that the $6,000 you needed was hiding in your pocket the whole time, disguised as small, unnecessary purchases. To make this even easier, you should stop relying on your willpower altogether. Willpower is a limited resource that fails us when we are tired, stressed, or when there is a massive sale at our favorite store. Instead of trying to be disciplined every single month, use your brokerage app to set up an automatic monthly deduction. Choose a date right after your payday and let the system do the heavy lifting. When the money is automatically whisked away into the S&P 500, you stop overthinking it. You stop worrying about whether the market is at an all-time high or if there is a recession coming. You just stay in the game. Choosing the right target is the next crucial step. Investing in an index fund that tracks the S&P 500 means you are essentially buying a piece of the 500 largest, most successful companies in the United States. You are betting on the overall innovation, productivity, and growth of the U.S. economy rather than trying to gamble on a single stock that could go to zero. It is like riding a high-speed train. There will be bumps, there will be periods where the train slows down, and there might even be some scary noises, but the general direction of the tracks is forward and upward. Success in the world of investing often belongs to the people who are the most boring. Many investors fail not because they aren't smart enough, but because they are too active. They try to time the market, stopping their contributions when the news is scary and trying to jump back in when everyone else is buying. Often, the person who does absolutely nothing except keep their automatic deduction running for 10 years ends up far ahead of the person who tried to be a genius. Compound interest is very similar to going to the gym. You do not see a single muscle after 1 week of lifting weights, and you might even feel more tired and sore than when you started. But if you keep showing up for a year, people start noticing. If you keep showing up for 10 years, you are in a completely different physical category than everyone else. Wealth is exactly the same. It is also vital to understand that your investment strategy should evolve as you move through different stages of your life. Let us look at 2 other examples. Linus and Smith. Linus is 35 years old and earns $70,000 a month. He is in the prime of his career, and he understands that this is his acceleration phase for building assets. He is aggressive, saving $30,000 a month because he knows that every dollar he invests now will have decades to grow. On the other hand, we have Smith, who is 50 years old and earns $150,000 a month. Smith has already worked hard and accumulated $20 million in assets. He only invests about $20,000 a month now. Why? Because his existing $20 million is already generating more than enough cash flow to support him. For Smith, the focus has shifted from aggressive growth to protecting what he has and managing risk. The amount you should invest depends on more than just your income. It depends on your total asset scale and your age. There are 3 powerful methods to help you find your perfect financial rhythm. The first method is based on your cash flow. You look at your income, subtract your essential costs like housing and food, and see what is left. For beginners, a great rule of thumb is to force yourself to save at least 10% to 100% of your disposable income. If you can push that to 20% or 30%, your wealth will accumulate much faster. A great milestone to aim for is your first $3 million in assets. Once you reach that level, a conservative 6% return gives you $15,000 a month in passive income, which provides a massive sense of security. The second method is the 100 minus age rule. If you are 30 years old, you subtract 30 from 100 to get 70. This suggests that 70% of your assets can be in growth-oriented investments like the S&P 500. When you are young, your biggest asset is time, which allows you to ride out market volatility for the sake of higher long-term returns. However, if you are 50, the rules suggest keeping only 50% in aggressive growth and moving the other 50% into more stable, conservative holdings to ensure your retirement nest egg is protected from sudden market crashes. The third method is goal-based planning. This is where you work backward from your dreams. If you know you want to have $3 million for a child's education or a home renovation in 10 years, you can use a financial calculator to see that you need to invest roughly $20,000 a month at a 5% return. This gives you a very clear, concrete target that keeps you motivated when you are tempted to spend money on things you do not really need. The absolute best way to manage your money is to use a combination of all 3 methods. We like to call this the 3-in-1 formula, much like a perfect latte. You need the coffee, which is your cash flow analysis, to give you the energy and the base for your plan. You need the milk, which is the asset ratio based on your age, to smooth out the risks and make the journey sustainable. And you need the water, which represents your specific life goals, to give the whole thing shape and purpose. If you only focus on one, your financial life will be out of balance, either too risky, too slow, or too disconnected from your actual dreams. Whether you are just starting your first job or you are halfway through your career, the most important thing you can do is start today. 10 years is going to pass by whether you invest or not. You can reach the end of that decade as John with a collection of old electronics and a bank account that is still gasping for air, or you can be like Leo, standing on a foundation of over $1 million with a future that looks bright and secure. The choice is yours, and it starts with that very first investment this month. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to see more content on how to master your money and build a life of freedom, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. We are here to help you navigate the world of finance with a bit of humor and a lot of practical advice. Don't forget to hit that like button to help spread the word to others who might be wondering where their money went. We will see you in the next one.